All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Floyd Mayweather Jr. making a pick for the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight, and also, man, the odds for this Errol Spence Jr. fight and Terence Crawford fight shifting dramatically. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight as if the fight is actually going to happen, even though we do not know for sure whether or not it will be, because as of the time of this video, who knows what's going on? We got a bunch of announcements to come out that say it's going to happen, but then you find out that the person that said it was just joking. You have Floyd Mayweather Jr. saying, don't believe anybody until we announce it, right? That anything related to it is not true, whatever the case. However, on a publication on Twitter came out with a list of fighters and the picks they made for the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. And on that list is Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, also the odds have come out for the fight, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for checking me out, checking us out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we talk in boxing more, which we do on a daily basis in the video format and in the live stream format. Also, if you are a longtime subscriber, supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your support. Make sure y'all hit that like button and hit the share button. Share the videos with others. It would be greatly appreciated. All right, man. So whole lot of stuff going on with this Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight. Biggest fight in boxing. We talk about it. We've pretty much been talking about it, for the last couple of weeks nonstop. It's flowing into the type of situation we had with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr., where that conversation really trumps a lot of everything else that's going on in boxing, right? We've had some good fight. We did have, a couple good fights this weekend, though, with Joe Joyce beating up on Christian Hamer. We've got other fights coming up with Canelo Alvarez, fighting Gennady Golovkin in September, right? Other fighters, Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk coming up over there in Saudi Arabia. So there are other fights coming up. However, nothing is really, catching people's minds and keeping people, interested the way that the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight is. So everyone is asking, pretty much every celebrity or not necessarily a celebrity, every boxer, every professional boxer or boxing related trainer in every interview who they think is going to win in the fight. And it is usually people act like this, like, oh man, that's a really tough one to call. Not sure, right? Now, I personally have not heard Floyd Mayweather Jr. make a prediction for that fight. However, in this list of fighters that was compiled, you had, I didn't count them specifically, but let's say if there was 30 people, it looked like half of the people there chose Terence Crawford. 15 of them would have said Errol Spence, and then 15 would have said 50-50. Now, some of the people that they listed as being, picking Terence Crawford, I've listened to their interviews and they said 50-50. So I think this publication may be just a little bit swinging things a little bit in favor of Terence Crawford, right? Because there has been some pretty high profile guys that have picked Errol Spence, picked Terence Crawford to win. Obviously, there is, Roy Jones Jr., Antonio Tarver, and James Toney during that weekend of the Hall of Fame induction that really kind of got the ball rolling, I think, with a lot of people, kind of following suit and picking Terence Crawford. Not that saying people that it's not reasonable for people to pick Terence. He's an excellent fighter. However, it's now gone to the point where it literally, I believe, has shifted the odds in the fight, because when Terence Crawford beat Yordenis Ugas, it was like plus 150 for Terence Crawford and minus 150 for for Errol Spence Jr. And after all of this stuff came out, now you have it pretty much flipped the other way, where it's plus 150 for Errol Spence Jr. and minus 150 for Terence Crawford. And what that means to me is that more than likely I'm gonna make some money on this fight, because I'm gonna vote Errol Spence Jr. because to me, Errol Spence Jr. is the more safe bet because of his style, the way that he's aggressive, and the way that he scores points. And one of the things that people have said, now again, people are saying Floyd Mayweather Jr. chose him. I have not heard him say that, but if he did, that is most definitely a very, very odd thing to have for him to say, because Floyd Mayweather Jr. is with the PBC, and almost to a head, people that have been working that fight on the PBC have either said it's a 50-50 fight, or they've gone with Errol Spence Jr. because they have that similar to what like Tim Bradley did when Tim Bradley was saying about Terence Crawford that he was going to knock out Errol Spence Jr. in 9 rounds, 10 rounds, or whatever he said. But as soon as we got closer to the fight, Tim Bradley changed his tune, was like, look, man, I was just saying that because, TC is my guy. And so that's why I'm doing that. It would be real odd for Floyd Mayweather Jr. to do that. Now, obviously, the rationale, I can assume what his rationale would be, which would be that Terence Crawford is what pretty much a lot of people say that pick Terence Crawford, that he has more tools in his toolbox. He can do more things. We've seen him do more things, similar to what Antonio Tarver said, where Antonio Tarver, though, had made the admission that, look, just because I haven't seen Floyd Mayweather Jr. do different things, Errol Spence Jr. do different things, that doesn't mean he can't do it. Now, personally, I wonder if some of these professional fighters have actually watched Errol Spence Jr.'s fight, because the criticism, their analysis of the fight is Errol Spence being one-dimensional does not really fit the narrative that's been going on for the last several years, since the Mikey Garcia fight, which is, what happened to Errol Spence Jr. being a seek and destroy fighter. He didn't seek and destroy this guy. He didn't seek and destroy that guy. He boxed from the outside. And I think that's just one of the things that people really are going to underestimate against Errol, that just because he's somebody that is able to break you down and stop you doesn't mean he's not somebody that can also box. The man is an Olympic quarterfinalist. He won multiple national championships as an amateur in the United States. And whenever I've heard people describe that, people with an amateur background like him, they're like, well, he can box because in order to win national tournaments, you have to box. You have to be able to box. You have to be able to hit and not get hit. You can't come in right behind somebody and just have them laying a bunch of shots on you and you're looking for a one-punch knockout or walking them down and trying to beat them in a fashion like, similar to what Gervonta Davis did to Mario Barrios or Leo Santa Cruz, when you get behind on the cards and then you try to catch up, right? But anyway, man, I just think it's just wild to see the effect that boxing, like major boxing professionals have had on the betting line for the fight. But hopefully we get the fight on the real is what I'm hoping. Just any way it cuts it, let's get the fight. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.